Today, we're putting on our historical detective hats to uncover the deeply guarded, frankly blood-soaked secrets behind the Targaryen dragon bond. If you thought the ability to ride a fire-breathing Leviathan was just, a lucky family trait, well, you are definitely in for a shock.
So let's just dive right into this. We are going to peel back the pristine layers of royal propaganda and look at the horrifying, magical reality of exactly how one family claimed the skies. Today, we're tackling the ultimate question. Is the bond between dragon and rider a divine right granted by the gods? Or is it actually a blood-soaked magical experiment that's been covered up for centuries? Okay, Section 1, the Targaryen dragon myth. Let's start with the official narrative, the one House Targaryen desperately wants all of Westeros to believe, their absolute natural-born supremacy as literal gods among men.
Now, for generations, the crowd has projected this massive illusion of divine exceptionalism. They claim pure bloodlines, they claim natural superiority, but hiding behind that incredibly effective PR facade is a grim, magical reality. We're talking genetic manipulation, blood sacrifices, and interspecies hybridization. They completely buried their dark origins in Valyrian blood magic under a carefully crafted propaganda campaign, all meant to make their rules seem completely inevitable.
And honestly, the way they built this myth, it's fascinating. You know that famous Targaryen tradition of putting dragon eggs in the cradles of newborn babies? You'd think that's some ancient mystical Valyrian rite, right? Wrong. It actually began as pure kid logic by an 11-year-old princess Rhaena. She literally just placed eggs in her younger siblings' cradles to give them a little boost of confidence. But later on, King Viserys I recognized the PR value. He weaponized this sweet, childish gesture into an official state tradition. It created the illusion of a predestined, unbreakable connection to the beasts. No one could question their authority. And the wildest part? Westeros bought it completely. It was the absolute perfect political spin.
Which brings us to Section 2, blood, magic, and chimeras. To really understand the reality of this bond, we have to look past the cradle. We need to look way back to the 14 flames of old Valyria and the gruesome truth uncovered by Westeros' smartest historian, Septon Barth. There are plenty of romantic myths out there. Places like Qarth claim dragons hatched from a second moon that got too close to the sun and cracked open. Ashai legends talk about ancient, mystical beast tamers. But Septon Barth, his theory is by far the most logical and also the most terrifying. He theorized that dragons didn't naturally evolve at all. They were artificially created by Valyrian blood mages. So let's look at what these blood mages actually did. They created a chimera. That's a biological entity made up of parts from entirely different animals. They took wyverns, which are flying reptiles that don't breathe fire, and combined them with fireworms. And if you don't know what fireworms are, they're these terrifying subterranean worm monsters that literally boil the earth around them and burn you alive from below. These ancient mages engineered a horrific hybrid chimera. They took the flight of one beast, the apocalyptic heat of another, and basically stitched them together with dark magic. But here is the really crazy part. They didn't just combine two animals. Think of this as the ancient magical equivalent to CRISPR. They infused literal dragon DNA into the Valyrian human bloodlines. And suddenly, this biological reality explains so much about their strange family dynamics. It explains the infamous incestuous marriages. They were literally trying to keep their mutant DNA intact so they wouldn't lose the ability to control these monsters. Tragically, it also explains why the family occasionally suffers horrific stillbirths, where children are born with scales, tails, and wings. The dragon blood in their veins? Yeah, it is not a metaphor for fiery temper. It is actual literal biology. We even have historical clues hidden right in plain sight. Take Daemon Targaryen's High Valyrian song to his dragon, Vermithor. The lyrics practically spell out this biological recipe. One who breathes fire, that's the fireworm. One bearing wings, the wyvern. But two heads need three, and a spell that sings. So what's that third head? It's a human blood sacrifice to make the genetic spell whole. Section 3, the mechanics of bonding. So if this is partly genetic, how does a person actually go about claiming one of these flying weapons of mass destruction? Let's break down the mechanics. As young Aemond proved with Vhagar, claiming a dragon requires a very specific and highly terrifying formula. Step 1, a fearless attitude. Seriously, if you show fear, you're lunch. Step 2, speaking ancient High Valyrian. The language seems to resonate deeply with the dragon's magical programming. But step 3 is the real kicker.
You have to realize that the dragon, who also mourns and feels deeply, must mutually choose you back. You can't just force this bond. It is absolutely a two-way street of respect and shared magic. And we can't forget the practical logistics once you actually make that bond, because the reality is wildly different depending on the beast you're dealing with. On one hand, you've got Rhaenyra's dragon Syrax sporting this beautiful, elaborate, custom-built queenly saddle designed for pure comfort and royal display. On the other hand, a massive, ancient, grumpy beast like Vagar. Honestly, the dragon keepers are probably just thrilled they didn't end up as a mid-afternoon snack while tossing a simple rope rig over her back. Section 4. Hatching through sacrifice. Now, having the bloodline and strapping on a saddle is great, but it's not enough to sustain a dynasty over centuries. Birthing new dragons into the world requires paying a terrible, literal price.
The Targaryen house words are fire and blood. We all know it, right? We usually think of it as this cool, intimidating political threat to keep the lords of Westeros in line. But what if it's not? What if it's literally an instruction manual? As the witch Mary Maw's door states, only death can pay for life. Fire and blood is a biological recipe for hatching dragons. It's the cost of admission to the sky. After the family lost this recipe following their massive civil war, their attempts to hatch eggs led to some disastrous, deadly failures. King Aegon III's mages tried using just pure magic. No sacrifice, no dragon, just a lot of hand-waving and disappointment. Decades later, Prince Aeron Brightflame thought drinking a cup of literal, explosive wildfire would trigger a magical transformation from the inside out. Spoiler alert, it just resulted in an agonizing death. And then there's King Aegon V, who tragically perished along with his family and closest friends in the raging fires of Summerhall trying to force eggs to hatch without the proper blood magic ritual. You simply cannot cheat the magic.
In fact, it took over a century for someone to finally get the math right again, and the number 3 is absolutely everything here. Daenerys Targaryen only succeeded by intuitively recreating an ancient Valyrian blood sacrifice. She traded exactly 3 lives: the life of her husband Khal Drogo, her unborn son Rhaego, and the witch Mary Maw's door. 3 lives burned in the fire to hatch exactly 3 dragons. The magic always demands equivalent exchange. Section 5. The Dragon Seed Dilemma. This all brings us to the ultimate shattering of the royal facade, Rhaenyra's absolute desperation tactic during the Civil War, known as the Red Sowing. To counter the world-ending threat of Aemond riding Vhagar, Rhaenyra makes a politically catastrophic choice. She opens the dragon pit to the dragon seeds. These are bastards and common folk of Dragonstone and Driftmark who just happen to have rumored Valyrian ancestry. She's literally inviting everyday people, blacksmiths, tavern goers, to try and claim the nuclear codes of their world. This desperate move radically shifts the military balance of power. You have Adam of Hall claiming sea smoke, which brings up deep Valyrian family wounds and really complicated loyalties. But way more dangerously, you have Hugh Hammer claiming the massive Vermithor. That is intense class resentment armed with overwhelming firepower. And then Ulf White on Silverwing, injecting unpredictable chaos and an inflated ego into the war effort. Neatly pairing massive beasts with angry commoners might solve a short-term military problem, but it creates a massive long-term political nightmare that will haunt the crown. And let's be clear, the Red Sowing itself is a complete bloodbath. It proves once and for all that having a drop of Valyrian ancestry is really just an invitation to risk being burned alive. It is absolutely not a divine guarantee of success. I mean, even a highly trained Kingsguard tried to claim a dragon during this event and was roasted alive right in his armor. The magic is volatile, it's unpredictable, and frankly, it's terrifying. Which leads to a massive political wound for Rhaenyra's heir, Jace. Think about it. Before the sowing, Jace's dragon, Vermax, was his absolute shield. Whenever people whispered that he was a bastard, he could just point to his dragon as undeniable proof of his divine royal status. The gods had spoken, right? But after the sowing, when tavern drunks like Ulf are flying around on dragons, the beast is completely demystified. It's no longer proof of kingship. It's just a volatile, accessible weapon. Jace's shield is completely gone. By proving that anyone with a drop of Valyrian blood can ride a dragon, the entire illusion of Targaryen exceptionalism crumbles to the ground. And the tragic irony for Rhaenyra here, the resulting betrayals by figures like Hugh and Ulf prove a very bitter lesson. Controlling dragons absolutely does not mean you can control the people riding them. The human heart is far more unpredictable than the chimera. Ultimately, the dragon seeds tear down the very myth of divine supremacy that Aegon the Conqueror built his throne on in the first place, leaving us with this final, provocative question to ponder. If the ultimate weapon of mass destruction is accessible to the common man, if the magic is just a gruesome biological recipe of fire and blood, what truly gives the crown its power? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll see you next time.